Well, hello everybody. Welcome back. There's a thing that has changed rather dramatically in one of the recent updates since, I guess, last week. And so climbing onto this streaming platform is a little different, a little confusing, but so much more efficient. So it's a kind of a whoopsie doodle, oh my goodness. And isn't that what we're really all talking about? I'm going to take a quick sip of this. Oh my goodness. I might even have two. Yeah, that's in fact what I just did. I had two. All right, here we are. I'm Abby Hagyard, and this is my little corner of the world where I'm doing these videos twice a week in order to kind of get us all leaning into the wind and leaning away from stress in tandem, in sequence, in rhythm, in resonance, because I have this new project that is so exciting and kind of evolving on its own momentum as long as I just keep getting out of the way. I'm working away at something, and then it's almost like I get a nudge to get out of there. We're busy. We're doing stuff. You'll be very pleased. Stop it. So a couple of quick things that happened yesterday. I was having a long overdue chat lunch with someone, and oddly, um, we had so many overlapping similarities and synchronicities. It was crazy that I don't think I would have noticed if I had not been fully present. And part of my reason for being fully face in the front was that it was long overdue, and it was her birthday, and I wanted to buy her lunch, and I felt that very badly that I had been kind of not there and overwhelmed by a lot of stuff. And so when I was explaining that to her, and she said, "Oh, we all go through that," and then we started having our conversation. So and then what happened, and then what happened, and it just kept overlapping and floating and flowing, and it felt very much as though our conversation was being directed by someone, something giving us a very heavy nudge. And I said, "Are you?" And she said, "Yes, yeah, I guess we had a lot of stuff to figure out and sort out and find out what was helpful." So with all that said, I kind of came away from that, and I'm having another amazing meeting today because of the new direction that this is all going. So there'll be lots to talk about next week. In the meantime, the subject today for the video that I'm recording, and for those of you who have just recently joined, the whole concept, as I just sort of explained briefly a couple of seconds ago, is that I'm launching something. And if you're going to have a boat launch and you want everyone to celebrate, you have to let them know that you're having the boat launch. Otherwise, they're doing other stuff. They're feeding the chickens and they're herding the pigs and whatever it is they're doing. And you have to remember that everybody's got stuff. Everybody's busy. Everybody's got focus on their own little pond, little circle. And it's not enough to say, hey, we're doing this. It's important for all of us to remember that what we need to say is, hey, we're doing this. And this is why it might matter to you. And that gives people the opportunity to say, what? Say what? Say that again? This is why it might matter to you. Blah, blah, blah. And now you have people who aren't showing up because they had nothing better to do, because it gave them a chance to come in out of the rain. Now you have people showing up because there might be something that can benefit them, and in the process benefit us if they come. So that's kind of the fuel, the fuel that's driving this. So today, the topic is the other definition of MIA, and it is brilliant. Now, I'm a military kid, and so there's a there's a certain number of those. What do you call them when you put the letters together and they mean something else, right? So there's snafu, and there's MIA, and there's AWOL, and you grow up hearing that language, and maybe or maybe not. Well, good morning, Susan. Good rising, grand rising, beautiful soul. Okay, so at the moment of rising, this beautiful soul is a little rough around the edges, but we managed to clean up fairly well. Good morning. Good morning. So in this conversation about the definition of MIA stands for missing in action. Now, it is often joined up with AWOL, which stands for absent without leave. So MIA, AWOL sounds like desertion. It sounds like left the post. It sounds like no idea what happened. Something happened to them. Something caused that. And they're not here. That's all we know. So it's one of those things that you just accept. What does that mean, Daddy? What does that mean, Mommy? And they tell you, and you say, oh, okay. And you don't question it. You don't think about what's the next layer in. And the next immediate layer in, before you ask, wait a minute, what does it actually mean? The next layer in is MIA, AWOL, according to whom? Who said so? How do they know? Do they believe that, perceive that, assume that, conclude that, looking through their filter? How do we know? We never ask those questions. We just say, MIA, oh, MIA, well, lost. Really? What if it isn't about being lost? What if it's not that at all? So here is the definition that I saw. And the definition of missing in action is not present where we are expected to be. Not standing here when we said we would. And so others show up, we're not there. Since everything is in motion, everything is in action. If you're not here when you said you would be, and I expected you to be, then you're missing. What happens if you're not missing? What happens if you're late? What happens if there's a traffic jam? What happens if the bridge is out? The bridge is missing in action. And all the people in their vehicles are saying, but we're not missing in action. Now, does it mean that we voluntarily opted out? Does it mean that we are not present where we are expected to be because we are on the other side of the now non-existing bridge? That's not our choice. We just happen to be missing from this place, not present here in the moment we were expected to be present. We're not here. We're someplace else. Doesn't mean we're gone. It means in some way, shape, or form, we opted out. So does that make fun of or put down or minimize issues that are beyond our control? No. It means that the opting out took place and we are part of the opting out. If the bridge is out and we stayed with the car and we stayed with the other people, we did opt out. We didn't leap out of the car and swim across the raging river to get there. We didn't. So we did opt out. If we have two things in front of us, and one is a severely important, terrifying thing that we are focused on, then we are opting out of that. Yes, we are. Why are we doing that? Because we can only be in one place at one time. We cannot be in two places simultaneously. So if we are not present here, we are present somewhere else. Missing in this action here, not us missing from this spot. Well, that's just a GPS situation then. We just have to go find where you are. You can send out a ping from something, smoke signals. So when I read that, and my entire military childhood set of assumptions flew out the window, because MIA is not MIA at all. MIA is something much more interesting and much more important, because it doesn't mean that we have somehow let people down. When someone says you were MIA, it's an assumption that you abandoned, that you gave up, that you walked away from a promise, an oath, a path, a purpose. It's not true. What does it mean when I say it's not true? It means that the origin story is flawed. The story itself, the actual fact missing, yes, if you're not standing in this present moment right here, then you are missing from this spot right here. It doesn't mean you are missing. It doesn't mean that you gave up. It doesn't mean that you no longer value what I value. It means that something else has happened, and we happen to be standing in front of it. Hurricane, not our fault, but maybe if you knew it was coming, go stand someplace else. I couldn't get through to them. I mean, you didn't answer your phone. Well, hurricane, no power. I know, but I was trying to call you. I tried and I tried and I tried. There was no power. I know, but I mean, he said call at 10, and this happens all the time. It happens all the time. And we carry around the trauma, the stress of being abandoned when we are carrying the wrong thing. Well, good morning, Freddie. It's wonderful to see you. So this is what I want to talk about today. First of all, that's the definition. That is incorrect because it is not clear. It's imprecise. If it's not exactly defined, then we can make incorrect assumptions. Missing in action does not mean that I left my post. It does not mean that I failed you. It does not mean that I made a promise and broke it. It does not mean any of those other things. It simply means I'm not standing here in this spot at this moment when we had planned that I would be here. Things that happen change the course of events. It is not ours to own. It is ours to understand that we participate in it. We all do. Because if you expect me here, then you are part of this assumption we are making. And if reasonably, if I am reliable, and when I say I'll be at a place on a certain day, on a certain time, and I usually am, then it is reasonable to expect that I will be here. If I'm not here, that doesn't mean I'm missing. It means that I'm someplace else, and there's going to be a story. So if we have that conversation with ourselves, we can stop beating ourselves up a little bit about an expectation that is flawed from the get-go. Now, The other thing I read, and I read it and I blinked at it and I picked up a pen and I wrote it down. And then I kept picking up the notebook and looking at it because I said to myself, this is really good. And it happily ties in with the MIA conversation. When something happens that overwhelms us and we are stressed by it because it overwhelms us and we don't stop. It overwhelms us, it upsets us, it pushes us past our capabilities and our limits, and we keep doing it. The event, the situation, the circumstance, the confluence of energies and efforts, those are not healthy for us. Those don't work for us. The red signal, the red flag is too much, too much, too much. That's the signal. In survival language, that is then stop. That is not healthy. That is not good. That is not safe. Stop. Stress is when we don't. That thing isn't stressful. That thing is not meant for us. What is stressful is we keep doing it and upsetting ourselves and overworking ourselves and making ourselves anxious because we can't handle it when we weren't supposed to. Why weren't we supposed to? Well, if it's not working, if it overwhelms us, if it does something, it's not meant for us. It's not ours. I was walking in the woods and I got poison ivy. That happens every year. What do you suggest? You asking me? Yeah. Don't walk there. Go the other way. But it's such a beautiful path. Yes, but clearly not for you because, hello, poison ivy, to which you have an aversion. Yeah, but I like walking there. Okay, so you can't have both. Why not? Because you can't. What am I seeing you doing? Yes? Yes. So if something's upsetting, don't keep doing it. Well, isn't there another way to fix it? No, because the thing isn't in and of itself upsetting. The stress isn't external. That this is happening is just happening. It's just happening. You have an aversion to it. It is toxic to you. It is painful to you. It's not, there's something wrong with me because it upsets me. No, it's legitimate. It is not healthy for you. Okay, then stop doing it. But I want it to be okay. Well, you know what? I'd like to be a size 6. Not happening today without a whole lot of working out and fewer Twinkies or whatever it is that I'm clearly eating. There are things we're not supposed to do. The first time I went up on a very high building and somebody said, you want to come out and step out and look at the view from the balcony? And instinctively I said, no, I'm good here. I'm good here. No, I'm good here. No, but and you'll catch the wind. And I'm thinking, I don't want to catch the wind because if I catch the wind can catch me. And then the next thing I know, the wind and I are no longer on the balcony. And I'm not going to enjoy the view for a single second after that. My window of opportunity left well along with me off the balcony with the wind. No, I'll have a look from here. No, come on out. So I stepped across the sill, and I stood, plastered against the side of the wall looking. And they said, "Isn't it amazing? It's great. Can I go in now?" And they turned and said, "Oh my God, are you afraid of heights?" No, I'm not afraid of heights. It's not the height. It's the prospect of the sudden stop if I were to fall. And as I have proven to myself many times over, I am remarkably good at falling. It's one of my best things. I've made money doing it. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I wasn't even thinking. Come on, for heaven's sake, come inside." "Thank you." In the door. And then the conversation for the next, I don't know, 11 years was, "Oh my God, you should have seen the look on Abby's face when she went out on the balcony." Yeah. Okay. Well, who decided to go out on the balcony? Who's a special kind of special? Okay. Was I stressed? Yes. Was the conversation about it over and over stressful? No, no, no. I earned it. I earned it. It became the conversation. "Wow, have you always been afraid of heights?" No, no, I've never been afraid of heights. It's not the height. It's what's at the other end of the height that concerns me, because I don't want it to be me. And it could be. So if we pay attention to the initial signal and we say to ourselves, "This is a red flag for me. This concerns me. This is not something that I am good at handling." Okay. Then I'm going to do a profiling. Okay. This is how I work with a lot of my clients. We talk about the trigger, and then we trace the trigger. We trace the pattern within the trigger. So about the heights. What is it about the height? The height is not about the height. The height is not about the fall. The height is not about the anticipation of the danger at the bottom of the fall. The fall, the crash, the what happens next is probably not swell, has nothing to do with heights. It has everything to do with uncertainty. It has everything to do with every year and a half of my life. It has everything to do with, out of nowhere, for no reason, suddenly everything that is my normal is in turmoil. And I don't know when it will stop. And I don't know what will come of me at the end of that fall. That is the life of a nomad. That is the life of a child with parents who were not able to help me feel safe in that environment because it was out of their control as well. Is it convoluted that I would assign it to heights? I could assign it to being in a speeding car, which, by the way, I don't like either if I'm not driving. Why? Because I don't know who's driving. I don't know how far the fall is. I don't know what's at the bottom that I might land on. And I have no control over that. It's not that I have control issues. It's that I have safety issues and security issues and issues with trusting the process. The process works. Military postings work. They don't necessarily consider the family. You just go along. You just go along. We are attached travelers. That's half of what BRAT stands for. We are attached. We just go along. But we don't know where we're going. We didn't sign up for it. We're hostages. Does it mean that I have control issues? Sure, we all have control issues. Does it mean that I think I can control it? No, it means that I'm fully aware that I can't. I'm fully aware. The unknown is your greatest fear. Well, the unknown, yes, honey bun, The unknown is the next second from this one. This one is, we know because we're in it, and now, oops, it's gone. Now we're in this one. So the assumption is that if the last 3 have been good, then the next 5 are going to be similar. And if we start getting signals, then we can maybe go stand away from the window. The fear of the unknown means what? Helplessness. You feel helpless because you don't know what's coming. Okay, then you need to go someplace, you need to be someplace in your head that makes you feel that you are not helpless, that you have tools, that you have resources, that you have choices, that you have a plan, that you have skills. And you can bring those things to bear when the unknown says, hi, how you doing? And you have them. That's what Pivotry is all about. You have the skills. You have practiced them. You are brilliant at it. How do I know? You're here. If you weren't brilliant at it, you'd have missed out on it a long time ago. We cope brilliantly. If there is one thing that we do differently from many of the other species, is how resilient we are and how readily and rapidly we adapt to change. And I don't mean we adapt to go along to get along. I mean, we adapt to take the high ground. We not only get in step, we're in the lead. That's remarkable. And we do it every day. And we do it without deciding to do it, because that part of the brain says, and we're off. That's what the conversation is about. Pivotry is about our skill. The process that I'm launching, that I'm discussing, that I'm inviting everybody to be part of, is recognizing it. Recognition. Understanding. Oh, look, there it is. Oh, and there it is again. And there it is again. Huh. Okay, then. I must be good at this. Let's practice so I can get gooder. When someone says to themselves, and I'm going to take us back to the MIA, okay? When someone says to themselves that my role in life is to be a helper, to be a healer, to be a rescuer, to be the person when everyone runs away from danger, I am the one who runs in. That's my job. That's my purpose. That's what drives me. It's my passion. Okay. The reason it becomes a problem is when we somehow make an assumption that if I choose this as my calling, if I say, yes, in fact, this is who I am, that it is my purpose to lean in, to go where angels fear to tread. That is what it means. It does not mean that I alone am charged with the burden and responsibility of fixing it. The two aren't connected. Somebody I know who's a firefighter said that their chief always says as they're heading out, remember, we didn't start the fire. We're there to help. We didn't light the match. We didn't put all the dangerous things in close proximity. Something happened, we're there to help, and we're willing to help. We are not responsible for the salvation. We are not responsible for getting everyone out alive and safe and unstressed and well. It's not the job. And I think in some of the work that I've done in dealing with some of the people I've been honored to work with, many of the stress fractures that people experience is the realization that they do not have the power, the capacity, the tools to save anyone. That's not the job. The job is to help. Period. Not to be the rescuer, not to own their outcome. The job is to help as much as we can, for as long as we can, without sacrificing us in the process. Helping doesn't mean I willingly destroy myself. That's not what you're asked to do. No one asks anyone to do that, ever. They ask if you are aware that that is one of the risks that can happen. You are volunteering, you are willing, you are signing up for something that is potentially dangerous. Do you understand? Yes. Okay. But they don't ask enough questions. And even if they ask enough questions, we're not really listening to the questions because we have made a decision that when we say we're in, we are saying something very, very interesting that we don't realize. You know that MIA definition? Not present where we are expected to be. When we say, I am ready to do everything at any cost, we are equally saying, I am willing to no longer be present where I am expected to be. If I walk here, I walk away from there. If I say yes to this, I am saying no to that. We don't ever pay attention to that. We never give it that kind of thought. When we have someone who is worried about the outcome of something, they are cheating on the present. They're not here. They're worried about something over there, tomorrow, to that person, in that moment. Well, what about me? What about the present moment? I'm here in front of you. What's going on? You don't understand. I have to be there. Well, then why did you say you would be here? You can't be in two places at the same time. No one can. No one ever has. In the history of everything, no one has ever been in two places at the same time. Ever, ever, ever. Why do you think it's your turn? What made you think it's your turn? Well, they were counting on me. They weren't counting on you to be in two places at the same time. You did that. If you say, I am this, and I'm also that, and I'm that, and I'm that, and I'm that, what are the chances that at some point, at least one or two of those is going to conflict? The chances are 1,000 billion%. And that takes us to one of the biggest components of this incredible project that has kind of created itself around me. I'm calling it executive grief, and I've talked about it a bit before. So the front part of the brain that develops late teens, early 20s, that gives us the ability to understand cause and effect, that allows us to understand if this, then probably that. You know, if I stay up late tonight, I will probably be tired and slower in the morning because I don't have enough rest. So if I choose this, that's going to be an issue. That's cause and effect. Before that, this is why you get a lot of teenagers not understanding why they can't go out late and then they fail their exam tomorrow. They don't, because that thing hasn't developed yet. I know a lot of adults actually who are still. I bought the diet book and it didn't work. Did you open it? What? I spent good money on that book. I'm laughing because I've done it. I'm not even going to point to where it is in the room, okay? I'm not going to point to where it is in the room, and you can't make me. So, cause and effect. If this, then that. If I am a woman who wants to do this in her career, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense if I also want to do that in my personal life, if that conflicts with this in my career. Because at some point they're going to go kaboom, and everybody on both sides is going to say, what are you doing? Therefore, it is a wise child who says, probably that is not going to benefit each other. Perhaps I should choose now before I move forward. I have this conversation with Susan quite often. Does this benefit my brand? And the answer is, but it was on sale. It's my favorite. It's got it. Yeah. Does it benefit the brand? No. Okay, then. Hard lesson to learn. Why is it hard to learn? Because it's a new thing. It's a new thing to learn. And you have to keep habitually repeating it until it becomes autopilot. Do we get better at it? Yes, we do. Does it take time? Yes, it does. Do we feel silly when we make the same mistake? Yes, we do. Is the stress external? No, it's us. Okay. If we are just Abby, and Abby decides she wants to be in show business. Now it's Abby and glamorous Abby. And if Abby decides that she wants to take up sailing, it is Abby and glamorous Abby, and the wet Abby they have to keep pulling out of the lake because she falls off the boat. Okay, that's 3 Abbies. If I decide to take up knitting, that's 4 Abbies. If somebody offers me a job training their child to be a stage actor, that's 5 Abbies. And if I decide that I'm going to get involved and sit on the board of directors or something, that's 6 Abbies. And if somebody asks me if I'd like to go on vacation and I say yes, that's 7 Abbies. And every single person that I am talking to, every single person who has asked me and I have said yes to or no to, every single one of those people has every reason to believe that they are talking to the essential Abby, because they are. Every version of me is the essential Abby. The one who sails, the one who goes on vacation, the one who trains a child to be a stage actor, the one who wants to be in show business, the one who just is Abby. We're all the same Abby. Now, if the child goes to an audition and fails, Abby who goes sailing is not deeply impacted. Abby who was on vacation is not deeply impacted. Abby who wants to be in show business is not deeply impacted. Even Abby who said she would train the child is not deeply impacted to the same extent that the original Abby is. The original Abby. Why? Because every other version of me, every other layer of me is a layer of me. The place where my heart lives is within the original Abby. The place where my hopes and dreams are is in the original Abby. The place where everything matters. My health matters. Love matters. Sanctuary matters. Safety matters. Is in the original Abbey. The problem happens to all the other layers only if this Abbey is not present where she is expected to be, which is front and center, 100% focused, connected, leaning in. What can happen to the original Abbey to make those commitments and capabilities that I possess? What can happen to me that can cause that to shatter, to fall apart? It has to be something deeply, deeply moving and deeply, deeply transformative. It has to be something that is bigger than all the other versions of Abbey, all the other layers of Abbey, if it hits the original Abbey that hard. If I cannot manage all these other versions of me because I am now single focused on this moment within me, who are those different Abbeys? They're my Russian nesting dolls. They are the many layers of me. The crisis and the tragedy and the stress that surmounts and overmounts and overwhelms and crushes, and the guilt and the shame and the blame and all the other internal driven stress that we layer upon ourselves, is when it is impossible for us to show up in any of those other ways because we are overwhelmed here. It is executive function dysfunction. It is executive grief. We are broken at the core. And at the core means everything else is broken. So the work that I want to do, the work that I have been doing for many years without really having a name for it, when I take on a client and we're working on the project and they suddenly realize at some point in the early layers of the project that the project is an extension of them. The project is one of their layers. It's a new layer. And that to make sure that this new layer is going to deliver what they have planned that it will, we have to go back and look at the original. We have to have a conversation with the original. We have to understand why this new layer means something to them, what it really represents to them. What? Can you imagine if I went to somebody's apartment, they said, come and look at the view from the balcony. I'd say, no, my dad was in the military. Everybody in the room. I'm sorry? Long story. But you were going to ask me why when I said no. That's the answer. If you want the backstory, you got to buy a ticket. If we can't do all the things, we can't do anything. At least that is what it feels like. Oh, I see. Well, all the things is many anythings. So how about this? How about this? Can you throw one chainsaw in the air and catch it? Can you? Have you ever tried? Start with something smaller. Can you throw one orange in the air and catch it? No? Then probably juggling is not your thing, because juggling is just 3 more oranges. So if you can handle one thing, You shouldn't tell yourself, I should be able to do all the things. So your argument with yourself is backwards. If I can do one thing, I have the potential to do many. If you can't do all the things, why would you think you can't do all the things? Why would you think you can do all the things? Nobody can do all the things. In the history of the world, nobody's done all the things. Why should it be you? Was there a little bong when you were born? Is that what happened? So your origin story is a little skewed. If I can do one thing, it does not mean I can do many of them simultaneously. If I can do one thing and I get good at it because I can do it and I practice, that means I can do one thing. It does not automatically imply or promise that I can do many more of them. It means I can do that one, period. Want to try a second one? Okay, let's try the second one. All right. And when you get really good at that, let's see if you can do them in sequence. Because we don't throw up all the balls and catch them. That's not juggling. No, it's right. That's how it works. So if I can do one thing, it does not automatically mean I can do everything. If I can do one thing, it means I can do one thing. If I find the time and the space and I allow myself the breathing space between, I can maybe do two, but I can't do them simultaneously. No one ever has. That you cannot does not mean that you're going to fail. It means you're not supposed to. That's how that works. So back to executive grief. If we see and we imagine in our mind's eye the set of Russian nesting dolls, and we open them and we take them all out. And so we have each one of them separate. The minute you can see those dolls in a row, and in order to access every smaller doll, you must separate the other dolls. You know what happens when you get to the smallest doll? It doesn't come apart. It is whole. It is the seed. It is the nugget. It is the essence. And when we add layers and tasks and responsibilities and joys and purposes and functions by adding another doll, surrounding, when we end up with the biggest doll with all the other dolls nesting inside, it is many versions of us. But we are not fused. We are not one doll. We are many layers and versions of us that we are managing, that we are juggling as we can, when we can. And when something happens and something shatters us, and we are no longer able to be present where we are expected to be, and our survival mechanism says, I must save me, I must save me. We do not have the capacity to save all of us. We save us. That's how people survive. The tragedy is as we recover, we realize, we recognize, and we are shattered by the understanding that we made promises that we could not ultimately keep. Does it mean we failed? Does it mean we abandoned? No. It means we forgot. We didn't understand. We didn't take the time to explain that I promise to do my part to the extent that I am able. We forget to say that. I'm in. Yeah, I'm in. Yeah. Okay, I'm in. If it's possible. Because we can't control all the things. All we can control is how we ride the storm. Correct? The boat went down. Yes, it did. It was a storm. Yes, but I was the captain. Yes, and here you are. I should have gone down with the ship. Why? Well, because I'm the captain. What? No. The captain goes down with the ship. Why? What for? Oh, the assumption is that if I'm the captain, then I should give up my life. No, what you do is you do your best to help. You do your best to help. And after you did your best to help, get off the boat. It's sinking. And this is where people go off the rails. We make expectations of ourselves. We set ourselves up to fail. We set ourselves up to be failures. We set ourselves up to believe something that isn't true. And in that moment, when we do that, we set ourselves up to walk away. When that was never asked of us. Never asked of us. Never, ever in the instruction manual. Ever. Do your best. That's it. So all the times that we beat ourselves up and all the times we find ourselves obsessing over and over and over, building a cage for us to be hidden in, shut away, locked down, held hostage, we are not present. We are listening to some echo, some ripple effect of the distant past, woven somehow into the origin story we think we know. Okay, when were you told the story? Oh my gosh, when was the first time I was told a story? Gosh, I must have been, I don't know, I don't even think I was old enough to go to school. Okay, so that was a while ago. Yeah, I know, right? You grew up with that story. Yeah. It's our legend. Yeah. So when you were growing up and you hadn't quite gone to school, did the family have the same kind of problems making sure that they charged their phones and stuff overnight? Charge phones? What, are you kidding? We barely had electricity. Oh, so you didn't have the internet? No. We didn't even have a television set. I see. So if you didn't have any of this new stuff that has changed everybody's story, how come that one and only story is still valid today? What? How come that detail that you're hanging on to, that you're clinging to, that is giving you permission to be MIA, is the one that is true if all the others aren't? How come that one is true? Why are you investing in that one? I don't know. First, you must be born again. Well, I don't know about born again. I don't have a clear memory of it, but I have a feeling it was painful for everybody, really, in the entire circle involved. Ow, ow, ow. I don't know. But I think a good refresh is healthy. I think a good, wait a minute, wait, what? Oh, for heaven's sake. What we get to do, if we want to, is look around, go stand in a place where there's a lot of people. Go to a shopping center on a Saturday. Go to one of those places where everybody goes shopping for stuff. Walmart. Go to Walmart on a Saturday. Pick a spot, sit down, watch them all for 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long time. 1 minute, 60 seconds. Watch them. They all think that their origin story is the true one. Every single one of them. They all believe that who they are is a function of what they were told 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 80 years ago. They think that. Why? Because they've never thought otherwise. They've never sat down and said, I wonder if it's true. And here's the final piece to this. Is it true? Or does it have to be true to give you permission to stay stuck? Does that ingredient in your world have to be your magnetic north, so that you can permanently stay off course? Is it giving you permission to stay exactly where you are? Are you employing it to give yourself permission to be MIA? Because the only person who can do that to us is some version of us. And if we are stuck and we know there's something intrinsically holding us back, you know what we have permission to do? Get help. Get help. Talk to someone. Give yourself permission to have a look at the origin story. Give yourself permission to say, thank you. You served me well. It's time for a rewrite. It's time for an update. It's time for an edit. Because I have grown. And while I used to wear size 5 shoes, I'm now much more comfortable in a 7.5. It is that clear. It is that straightforward. Doesn't make it easy. It is, however, that clear and that straightforward. We are the ones who complicate it because we give ourselves assumptions and then we hold ourselves hostage to those assumptions. Where we get the assumptions is from the origin story that may or may not be true. And it's not our fault. There is no shame or blame or guilt that is even remotely relevant. Isn't that an incredible little set of 1, 2, 3? Oh, look, it's 5. How about that? So that's why I was so excited to have this talk today. Now, it's Thursday. The weekend is upon us. Many, many things unfolding. I know that it is also getting perilously close. We're one weekend away from it being September. And that means that upheavals of all sorts and shapes and kinds. So even more than normal, be good to you. It is a busy, hectic, oh my gosh, where did I put the time? And it is not your responsibility to manage all of it. It is only your responsibility to do your best. And if your best at some point says, I got to sit down for a minute, I'll be back. Do that. So be good to you. You deserve it. Make sure you understand why you need to be good to you. And remember to hug your loved ones. They deserve it too. And I will see you next week right here for another Guess What I Discovered. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. It's magnificent knowing that you do. It's magnificent. It's amazing that you take the time. All right? Until I see you next time, you're not MIA. You got stuff. You're doing it. And I can't wait to hear what it was.